My fellow Leonians, on this 27th day of April 2025, I come for bring a message of reflection for we as Leonians who say we done day for 64 years of independence. Some may say it's an independence celebration. Others then go say na commemoration of the date. But for me, na a reflection of 64 years of very little progress for Sierra Leoneans. As I've stated in previous statements that I've made on Independence Day, the issue of the demise and the backwardness of Sierra Leone truly rests on two political parties, the APC and the SLPP, and together they are responsible for the 64 years of decadence where we as Salionians the experience. But to you all I say, oh Hajumi, oh Hajumi, oh Hajumi, which is my greetings to you, to say we care and we love you all as Salionians. And as Salionians, we should and be very, very, very caring of our beloved country, the green, the white, and the blue. But in this presentation, I'm not going to look at the past 63 years because being a patriotic Sierra Leonean is exhausting. Let me just take the last 365 days and say what happened from April 28, 2024 to April 27, 2025. You know, there are few bright spots that we could celebrate and recognize, but the negatives so outweigh the positives that one could not help but to address the negative issues because it affects so many of our Sierra Leoneans. But I think one of the brightest spots we must talk about and celebrate is the centennial celebration of the Prince of Wales School. Even though it was like just a 1 week of celebration, that celebration itself shows national unity, national support, and how we as Sierra could come together to support one another. But also there are some other bright spots relating to data that I would like to address before I talk about the many, many negative things that may happen in our country. So the first data that I can talk about, which is so significant that for 64 years, we've never seen any data so good, relates to that of infant mortality rate. And the 2025 data, they show that only 70 pikin out of 1,000 were them born now in the die. 70 out of 1,000. A lot of people will say, 70 pikin die, that is high. But out of 1,000, this is the best data that would ever document in Sierra Leone since independence in 1961. Also, the under 5 death rate significantly don't drop. That only 90 pikin out of 1,000, they die under 5 years old. People go say, 90 pikin out of 1,000? But this is also significant because this is the best data we've ever received as it relates to health of the future citizens of Sierra Leone, infants and children. And so we need to applaud the government of the day for that. We need to applaud USAID and the support they've given. We need to applaud the NGOs that we don't work, and we also need to applaud the parents them. We don't get the knowledge now for provide better care for their children. So this is really, really positive. Another bright spot that we could celebrate is that of life expectancy. Sierra Leone is ranked 190 in the life expectancy, but we've made significant progress for people to live longer collectively. And in 2025, we show a new record high that females could live up to 64 years and male could live up to 60 years. Whilst those numbers and those ages, they look so young, but I want to say that this is also the best record since independence for 64 years. So you just see data which shows say if we eliminate corruption, eliminate nepotism, eliminate tribalism, and go to meritocracy and do the right thing, there are bright spots of Sierra Leone. But oh no, let's look at what happened in Sierra Leone from April 28, 2024 to April 27, 2025. In 1 year, we officially become the drug capital of West Africa with cocaine and Kush all over the country. And we in the news, international, regional, and local, all about drugs. Kush, they continue for ravage and kill hundreds and thousands of youths across Sierra Leone. The government don't even know how to handle Kush anymore in Sierra Leone. Cocaine is now produced, assembled, and distributed from Sierra Leone. And this is troubling for us, that we don't shift from productivity of agricultural products to now being producing cocaine to distribute across the world. You see, our president started the 63rd anniversary driving a Mercedes Maybach, which is worth over $200,000. And he ushered the 64th anniversary driving a BYD Yangwang U8 electric vehicle worth over $200,000. So between April of 2024 and April of 2025, President Bill, just with 2 cars, has spent over $500,000. And the irony of this all is that the president is driving an electric car in Sierra Leone when well over 70% of the landscape of Sierra Leone not even get access to an electric grid. And of the 30% of the people who get access to an electric grid, they experience the worst blackout in the history of Sierra Leone since 1961. This message is truly not the right message for Sierra Leoneans. We also experience the saga of Josh Lydecker, the wanted drug baron from Europe, or who they called Umaru Sharif as alleged. And this issue continues to affect our credibility internationally and how the world sees Sierra Leone. Over the last year, Sierra Leone has recorded, especially the Freetown area, over 250 fires. You know, it's like the Chinese calendar. They usher in with fire, the animal of the dragon, the lion. But I think 2025, Sierra Leone ushered it with the symbol of fire. State House, Minde on fire. Military 34 Hospital, Minde on fire. And Cotton Tree Self say Inago left in March of this year, INSEF catch fire. You know, and we are not addressing this fire issue seriously. You know, we just saying our EDSA. There has to be a commission of inquiry. The lives of the people are at stake. People and property, the lifelong property, they burn down. And there seems to be no accountability. You know, our journeymen, them wait and call themselves electrician. I'm sure they are cross wiring. They don't know how to do effective wiring. We don't have electrician inspectors when we build buildings, and it's creating all kinds of problems. Last year, Sierra Leone recorded one of the heaviest rainfalls ever recorded in history of Sierra Leone. What happened 2 months after the rainy season? Not a single drop to drink. Everybody to buy water. Something is fundamentally wrong with our vision, with our leadership, and with our structure. The Sierra Leone ambassador to Guinea was involved, allegedly, with a cocaine case, and which tarnished the reputation of Sierra Leone. And as we can say, the ambassador then at least they pass up and down the campaign for that one campaign for. Buff case. This is a leadership failure. See, when young people and they see things like this, it emboldens them to say, if the ambassador can do it and he go bonfi, myself, if myself na party pikin, I can do am, he go bonfi. And this is the crisis of leadership in Sierra Leone. We are not holding no one accountable in Sierra Leone. You know, the Sierra Leone immigration officer allegedly bought 3 houses cash in the US worth $1.9 million. Allegedly, they say he get connection with Umaru Sharif Josh Lydecker. You know the outcome? Then just sack him. That's the accountability in Sierra Leone. And you know the message it sends to the youths of Salon? I'll do the same once I get me 2 million. If they sack me, na buff case. This is leadership failure and leadership in crisis. This year, we just witnessed 80-year-old Pekin were pregnant. They don't rape many more that we know about and have heard, and many are being used as sex slaves and trafficking across boundary lines for sex activities. What is the government doing about it? Unoyeri. You know, one time, hands off my girls, hands off our girls. Now the hands are on the babies for like 80-year-old Pekin. They get belly and get pregnant in a salon. Prostitution is at the highest level in the history of Sierra Leone. We witnessed this year several buildings collapsed due to substandard construction, killing well over 100 people. You nothing at the outcome? Bumpy. Nothing that happened. Leadership failure at all levels is what is setting our country back on our 64th anniversary. We also witness Amadou Koita and others being convicted for the failed coup that happened. And we see Ernest Kuma is still on medical exile in Nigeria. Donald Trump came in January of 2025. Immediately, Sierra Leone lost 480 million of MCC grant. Sierra Leone is on the tier 2 pending list of travel ban and visa restricted countries. Donald Trump closed USAID. Immediately, Sierra Leone lost $50 million. And now we're on the possible watch list of IMF as the Trump administration is looking at shutting down even IMF as an organization to support countries like Sierra Leone. We witness the construction or the creation of two bar associations in Sierra Leone. And now we're beginning to see political violence manifesting itself within the SLPP, across Kenema, in Freetown, and across other areas, with no repercussion. Very selective actions to security breach on Sierra Leone. We are not making the progress that needs to be made, and we are not going where we should go. So this leads me to what I would call a theoretical analysis of Sierra Leone. You see, the dynamic failure of a system like Sierra Leone could really be attributed to an inverted Maslow of hierarchy of needs. You know, Abraham Maslow, a psychologist, once defined the hierarchy of needs of people who ask themselves, what is the meaning of life? You know, so on the 64th anniversary, we're going to ask ourselves, what is the meaning of life for Sierra Leoneans? What does it mean for us to be Sierra Leoneans living in Sierra Leone or in the diaspora? See, Maslow stated that, people need basic needs before they can move up to advanced needs. Let me repeat that. People need basic needs before they could move up to advanced needs. And if you look at Maslow's category, Maslow has 5 categories. The first is your physiological needs, which is a non-negotiable needs and the basic needs of every citizen of Sierra Leone for survival. And this includes food, water, shelter, sleep, and just the basic needs to survive. In Sierra Leone, Sierra Leoneans cannot even find the simple way to charge their telephones. There are no access to electricity. And yet we see the president, who is at the self-actualization stage, driving a 200,000 electric car when half of the people in Sierra Leone cannot afford an electric car. Food is a basic physiological need in Sierra Leone. The government talks about feed Sierra Leone. And yet we don't have enough food for the people. The government talks about light saloon. Yet more than three-fourths of Sierra Leone get access to an electric grid after 64 years. We don't even have basic, clean, and safe drinking water. And as for safety and housing and shelter, we have so many homeless people. You know, if you compare Sierra Leoneans from 1961 to 2025, we have flipped our hierarchy of needs. In 1961, coming up, most people were looking at self-actualization, self-esteem being what you want to be in life. In 2025, most people are searching for the basics of life to survive, which includes food, water, shelter, and sleep. You know, Maslow talked about safety needs as the next step. After your physiological needs, you need to move up to safety. And I could tell you there is a sense of insecurity and instability in Sierra Leone. You know, the freedom of association and the freedom of speech are directly and indirectly controlled and muzzled in Sierra Leone, including job security, financial security. People don't have that in Sierra Leone because they don't even have a job. And that's why most end up with Kush or in prostitution or end up in scams and 419. Because the system itself has created this sense of insecurity and instability for people. That people have to struggle to move from the physiological needs to safety needs. Most people live and die in stage 1 of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, fighting for survival, for food, water, shelter until they die. Others who move to the next level suffer from a sense of security and insecurity and stability. Joblessness, financial insecurity, and another 90% of the people never get to pass this level and end up dead at 60 or 64 because of the stress of trying to climb this ladder. Where we'll find our politicians now in level 3, which is love and belonging needs, where we see Maslow talks about people with social connections, friendships, intimacy, a sense of belonging. We saw that this year with the Prince of Wales. That's Maslow's third level of hierarchy. Prince of Wales, with their centennial celebration, was able to provide that sense of belonging, that sense of friendship, that sense of connection. But it is so few and far between for the average Sierra Leoneans because they struggle every day and with corruptions and corrupt practices and politicians in power who ostracize the grassroots, then push them to the side. They only need them for elections. After election, they say you then are you corner, then are you village, then are you town, then are you district. We go come back to you in 2028. Sierra Leoneans no longer attain this level. It's reserved for politicians, their cronies, and family members. And as we move up and talk about Maslow's hierarchy of esteem needs, you know, this is where you find self-respect, confidence, achievement, and recognition from others. You know, if you have to struggle every day to find food, water, shelter, you can find self-respect. You're not able to find confidence. You cannot achieve what you want to achieve, therefore you cannot get recognition from people. if you ask the average youth in a salon, which you want to be in 2025, they say, I'll be president. Because they see the president, they drive a Mercedes, Maybach. They see the president, they drive a BYD U8 electric car. They see the president with a sense of wealth and affluence. They see the politicians, them, who seem to exude that self-confidence, self-respect and achievement and recognitions from their colleagues. Is this what we want for Sierra Leone? Most Sierra Leoneans live and die and never get to the level of self-respect, never get to the level of confidence, never being able to achieve what they want to achieve, even with academic acumen, never being able to expand their businesses to be recognized because the country is only for the few. And then in the last stage of Maslow's hierarchy, which is self-actualization, people who reach the highest level and the full potential, I could guarantee you 95% of Sierra Leoneans never reach self-actualization needs. Where you reach your full potential, you pursue your personal growth and contribute to something larger than yourself. Even for people like us in the diaspora, we have struggled to get close to self-actualization in the diaspora. But whenever we think of Sierra Leone, we think of what we've left behind. We think of what we could do. We think of how we could contribute to something larger than ourselves, which is our country, the green, white, and blue. It erodes on our self-actualization. We are truly not fulfilled, regardless of how many degrees we have, how many houses we have overseas, what titles we hold, how much money we get. As Sierra Leoneans, we never reach self-actualization. As British citizens or American citizens, probably we do, but we do not. So where do we go to help as we build to move into 2026? 2026 will be the 65th anniversary of independence. We know we failed for 64 years. We're beginning to see bright lights in infant mortality, in life expectancy, in celebration of schools and anniversary. But we need it for the whole country. My fellow Sierra Leoneans, it's about leadership. It's about leadership. We see politicians who are corrupt. Now sack them, sack them. The ambassador to Guinea should have been an example. The immigration officer should have been an example. If I ask you a question, probably it would answer the reason why I say it's leadership. Name one high-ranking official that they don't charge and convict for corruption as Sierra Leone in the last 5 years. Name just one. It's not. And yet we know how corruption prevalent in our country. But like I always say, we Sierra Leoneans, we are resilient. We Sierra Leoneans, we are determined. If we could shift infant mortality rate, if we could shift life expectancy, there are lots of other things we could shift. So as we move in to recognize and to reflect on this 64th anniversary of our independence, let's think about the way forward. And for me, the way forward is Ohajumi. You know, many times you hear me introduce all my speeches by saying Ohajumi. Ohajumi is like the Arusha Declaration. For me, what it means for Sierra Leoneans. The H, the first H in Ohajumi is for hope. the hope for what we want to become as a nation, for what we want to become as a people, for what we want the world to see. The O is for our opportunities that will come away and how we manifest it to make a difference for our beautiful Mama Salon. The H is for happiness, which Maslow talks about, that we move from our psychological, physiological needs right up to self-actualization. Then we become happy. The A is for accountability, that those we found incompetent will make sure the full hand of the law grab them by the hand and foot and throat, so that the youths would see what accountability means. The J is for justice, which we don't see in present-day Sierra Leone. We don't see it. And that O is for outreach for every Sierra Leonean to reach one another and say, we as Sierra Leoneans, we can do it. The M is for meritocracy. Let the right people do the job. Not to you, Paddy, not to you, tribesmen, not to you, political party. And this is why we have incompetence and we lack leadership. Because if we put people in place by merit, things would go right. And when they fail, we hold them accountable and justice takes its course. That's what we need to do. And last is the E, which is empowerment. We need to empower all Sierra Leoneans. We need to empower the children of Sierra Leone, like 8-year-old Pekin, Nogebele. We need to empower the women of Sierra Leone to make them feel that self-respect and self-actualization that Maslow talks about, for them to reach up to that level, that pyramid of esteem needs and self-actualization. We women them, we girls them. We used to say, hands off our girls. Now I think all men don't lay hand on the girls. It must stop. And we need to empower all our youths to make sure they become innovative, transformative, and visionary youths. And empowerment is what does that. And it is your leaders and leaders at all levels, centralized and decentralized, will for take Sierra Leone to the next level. And I believe that we can do it. And as soon as they prepare for the 2028 election, I want to ask our leaders them if they get Ohajomi. Because any leader will not bring Ohajomi to you, not mean well for Sierra Leone. In the end, then go end up driving an electric car where you not get electricity. In the end, then go end up driving a Maybach Mercedes Benz where you know waka you the waka. In the end, then go send them picking them come overseas and they say you get quality education at salon. In the end, then go light their house with solar system and then tell you say with the light salon. In the end, then go eat good beef, they eat fish, they eat goats, they eat all kind of thing. And then tell you, we go feed salon with chaff rest. This is not the Sierra Leone we need. Sierra Leoneans, let we ask for better. Let we speak for better. And as the election they come in 2028, let we begin for think wisely. All is not lost yet. If the leaders that are in power right now, President Bio and his cabinet, they have 3 years to turn it around. They can do it if they want to. They can change Sierra Leone if they want to. Leadership is all we need. So to you I say, Ohajomi on this reflective 64th anniversary. Some may celebrate it because they've reached high esteem and self-actualization. Others go ask, waiting the Independence Day for, because they struggle for their physiological needs, basic survival, and safety. To you all I say, God bless Sierra Leone or Hajime.